I'm Christopher Zweig in Wes Anderson format, bringing you this week's reviews on the horror satire The Blackening, the documentary Desperate Souls, Dark City, and the Legend of Midnight Cowboy, a documentary on Stan Lee, Wes Anderson's latest star-studded comedy, Asteroid City, with Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, and Steve Carell, among others, and Jennifer Lawrence's first raunchy comedy, No Hard Feelings. Let's take a look. Our first movie is The Blackening, which tells the story of a group of African-American friends who all celebrate Juneteenth by spending a weekend in a cabin in the woods. A perfect place for a horror movie, isn't it? It's a satire, if you will, on the old cliché that the black character has to die first in the movie. The friends are played by Grace Byers, Jermaine Fowler, Melvin Gregg, X Mayo, Dwayne Perkins, Shinqua Walls, and Antoinette Robinson, and they all come across a racist board game that questions them on their race and interest in pop culture. If you get the answer wrong, somebody dies.
Pick a card and save Morgan.
What do you mean, save Morgan?
Refuse to play, and she dies.
I think we have to play the game. In your predicament, the black character is always the first to die. I will spare your lives if you sacrifice the person you deem the blackest.
The blackest?
I can prove I'm not the blackest.
Prove it.
I've never seen Friday. I voted for Trump.
What?
Twice.
The Blackening has a number of big laughs that can either be political, stylish, or silly. It all depends on how the actors use the jokes. Director Tim Story expresses the right themes without discriminating anyone, and with help from the writers, he's able to shift between genres. I may be a white film critic, but that doesn't mean I couldn't relate to the humor presented here, so check it out. Next up, we have Desperate Souls, Dark City, and the Legend of Midnight Cowboy, which is the documentary focusing on the making and inspiration for Midnight Cowboy, the film that wouldn't get trimmed from its original X rating to the R rating it's given today. We can even see that the late great filmmaker John Schlesinger has accomplished despite the roadblocks that have affected the late 60s, 70s era. Outside that movie is a time regarding the gay themes, sex, and the protests of the Vietnam War.
It managed to express the zeitgeist. It expressed its time by being of its time, because nobody ever really knows their own time. So when people express their own time, it's generally by accident.
Desperate Souls, Dark City, and the Legend of Midnight Cowboy should have extended itself, but it does open our eyes and minds about how society was and how movies were influenced by them, and their filmmakers weren't afraid to take risks. See the original Midnight Cowboy, which I gave 4 stars, and then see this documentary, which I give 3 stars, so check it out. Next up, we have another documentary, but on Stan Lee, the Marvel legend who sadly passed away at the age of 95, but still left his trademark on the world from Fantastic Four to Captain America to Spider-Man to Iron Man to Black Widow to Black Panther to X-Men. He knew a comic brand he wanted to make him a part of, which is Marvel, and with help from the writers Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and Joe Simon, among others, he was able to make these superheroes relate to people. He knew the right comedy, the right pathos, the right targets, and the right times to represent them.
What I tried to do was write the kind of stories I would want to read.
This doc makes its way to Disney Plus and reminds us on what a legend Stan Lee was, and he wasn't the kind spoiled by fame. You deserve to hear Lee's story for what it was and what he saw in superheroes and people. Our next movie is Asteroid City, the latest star-studded comedy from Wes Anderson, which is set in a fictional town in 1955, which is famous for the asteroid that left its mark on Earth and what's left of that space rock. Jason Schwartzman plays a war photographer who brings his kids for an annual event and calls his father-in-law, played by Tom Hanks, to watch them when his car breaks down.
Where are you? Asteroid City, Farm Route 6, mile 75.
The movie's star-studded cast includes Wes Anderson regulars Scarlett Johansson and Jeffrey Wright, while newcomers include Matt Dillon and Steve Carell.
They're strange, aren't they? They're children. Compared to normal people.
Yes, that's correct.
It's true.
As always, in a masterpiece directed by this eccentric artist, the movie looks great with the sets and art direction, but unfortunately the story is a disappointment and the character development doesn't rank with the best in Anderson's filmography. And our last movie is No Hard Feelings, a mediocre raunchy comedy that only works because of Jennifer Lawrence's attempts to enter the specific genre, but is very weak in its choice of humor and the way it's ripping off The Graduate. Only she isn't a seductive wife, she's a troubled young Uber driver on the verge of losing her house and has already lost her car.
You think I chose this?
Look at this.
Need a car, date our son this summer, and bring him out of his shell before college. In exchange, we'll give you a Buick Regal. Date is in quotes. It's gotta be a joke, right?
No, have you seen these helicopter parents?
Her only hope is to answer this ad, which Matthew Broderick and Laura Benetti come up with, while Andrew Barr Feldman plays the young man whom she must make a man out of, and if you ask me, he's inferior to Dustin Hoffman's character in The Graduate. No Hard Feelings was directed by Gene Stubnitsky, who also wrote and directed Good Boys, as well as some episodes of The Office. His previous film was proof that he can enter this raunchy territory, but his next film only works in Lawrence's acting skills, not for the comedy or supporting actors. The jokes are typical and sometimes mean, and the story doesn't really give Lawrence the timing she needs. She can expand her horizons as an actress as long as she's given the right material. So, skip it. Okay, recapping the new movies I reviewed this week. Thumbs way up for The Blackening. Thumbs up for Desperate Souls, Dark City, and The Legend of Midnight Cowboy. Thumbs up for Stan Lee. Thumbs down for Asteroid City. And thumbs down for No Hard Feelings. Well, those are the movies I'm reviewing this week. I'm Christopher Zweig in Wes Anderson format. Stay safe, and I'll see you at the movies. For more amazing content, please like and subscribe to my channels, and please read my reviews at cjatthemovies.com and download the new HD Radio app.